Correct.
Now, that goes to me, it's fine for the
I'm just letting everyone in.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for being patient as we got started with this. Look at all of these wonderful note takers. Can you believe this? This is absurd. I guess if you're an AI community, then you'd expect the note takers to join, huh?
I need a whole class on how to turn all of these damn things off.
Oh, they're all yours?
No, not all of
I
them, but
know.
some are.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. This is wild. I feel so popular. All of these note takers want to learn from me. All right. Well, yeah, Sammy, I'll just take it. It sounds like you want me to just run with it. Sammy? Cool. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, we've got a wonderful little session, a little intimate session here too, which is good. Appreciate you for waiting. Oh, are we recording? Yeah, we are. Okay. Appreciate you guys for being on today. I'm really excited to share some of the things that I've learned with you and help you to take action. As we're going to get into, none of this information is helpful unless you're actually doing something with it. And I would not have been of service to you if I failed to give you something that you're walking away with. You're like, okay, cool. I'm going to think differently. I'm going to do differently. I'm going to be different. So that is part of the intentions here. Sammy, I see you came off mute. Is there anything that you want to add, or should I
Yeah,
just?
I'd like to just say that Brian has been very pivotal to me and my accountability with all the things I've been doing, all of the moving parts that we've had over the last year. One of the things that I brought on with my other coach was Brian, and Brian was an incredible asset to me, keeping things uh front of house, so to speak, so that I could get the things done that I needed to. So as far as accountability goes and getting the things done, he's absolutely world class. So I'm so glad you guys are here and that you guys get a chance to get a peek into what's really been helping me get my priorities in line and get the stuff done that I need to. So I'm super, super honored to have Brian here. I had 2 meetings going, so sorry about that, guys. So I was like, so now everything is good. But Brian, yeah, rock with this, man. I'm so excited to have you here, man. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you all for sharing your time. And yeah, so we're going to get right into it because I want to make sure that we have time to do some active work together and also just really cover the important parts of the lesson and the foundation that we're going to be building from here. So I have a presentation. Hopefully, I'm going to try and jam through this because you don't necessarily want that information. You want the real work and then the conversation that comes after that so that it's real for you. So I'm going to, yeah, so I'm going to just kind of get through this really quickly and get all set up and ready to go. You guys can see that? It's coming through?
Yep.
Lovely. All right. Well, as Sammy mentioned, my name is Brian Ford. I'm the host of Self Improvement Daily. It's a podcast that I have maintained over 8 years, which means 2,600 episodes of content. Consistency is kind of my thing, and that's where I hope to share some of the lessons and frameworks that have worked for me. I'm also blessed to have earned 21 million downloads with the podcast. So I've built an audience and a following that, yeah, that has been able to inform a lot of the things that are coming together here. All right. So as we jump into this, the 6 productivity fundamentals for high performing creators, that is you. The first question I have for you, this is going to be interactive. You're going to have to get used to it. All right. The first question I have for you is, how do you define productivity? Go ahead and put in the chat. How do you define productivity? I'm going to be running you through my definition here in a second. But first, I want to hear yours. How do you define productivity? And all of the note takers, feel free to respond to. Getting shit done that moves the needle. Yep. Cool. Love that. Making progress. Cool. Yeah. Get it done with a spirit of excellence. Agree with all of these different pieces. I'm going to make it a little more formulaic and direct to the tactical implementation of productivity. I agree. All of those are the output. Those are the outcome. That is the benefit of productivity. What goes into effective productivity? The first thing is we need to know what to do, right? You can't do something that you haven't defined. So you just got to know what it is that you actually want to do, that you need to do. Then you need to do it because it's having the idea isn't enough. You need to actually follow through and get it done. And then if we're thinking really advanced, you want to do it really well. You don't want to just do it and check the box. You want to do it efficiently. You want to do it with quality, right? And that's where the 6 productivity fundamentals actually map into each one of these parts of the formula. To be productive, you need to know what to do, you need to do it, and you need to do it really well. That helps you to get more done in less time so that the results in your life change faster than doing something else or not doing anything at all. All right. So we're going to run through these 6 different fundamentals one by one. And then at the end, like I said, we're going to have a specific exercise where we get to implement some of this that I am extremely excited to share with you, especially since you guys are so AI focused. All right. So we're going to start with a committed strategy being the first fundamental. All right. So this is under knowing what to do. So your committed strategy is all born from one very important thing, which is what you want. Use this metaphor of being at the top of the mountain, right? We're climbing our mountains. Where are we headed? That's where we want to go. The desired result, what we want, is at the top of the mountain. Now, how do we get what we want? That is the strategy. And we've got to derive that in a very specific way. First, we need to know where we're at compared to what we want. Okay, that illuminates the gap. And it is the gap that needs to be filled in order for us to make progress. How do we actually fill that gap? Well, in this metaphor, we need to pick the path that's going to take us from where we're at to where we want to be. That is your strategy. You're in a certain place, you want to get a different place. You need to find your best path. And that's the thing, is there are an infinite number of paths. You can take the one that I've showed in front of you, you can go around the back, you can go back to the bottom and come back to the other side. Each path will take you to the top. It's a matter of picking the strategy or the path that you think is most likely to work for you based on your skill set, your industry, what you know, and everything that corresponds with your specific context. All right. From there, once you have your strategy, well, that's not going to actually get you to the top. That's just helping you choose your direction. The next step is you need to walk the path. And that's what a strategy is for. It helps to give you a filter of what are the specific tactics, the action steps you need to take to bridge the gap from where you currently are to where you want to be. Okay. So that's where you need to pick that one single strategy and not get too diluted in focus or confused in effort or starting one thing and stopping another. Each time you do that, you're coming back down the mountain. You have new skills that help you to take the next path faster, but ultimately the fastest way to the top is to stay consistent with a committed strategy that you know is going to get you there as likely as possible. Okay. All right. So that is the first fundamental. I'm going to fly through these. All right. Second is task management. So now once you've clearly defined what those action steps are, that again is just the idea of what you need to do. You haven't actually executed it yet. That's why we're getting clear on knowing what to do. We're going to get to doing it in a second. But in order to know what to do, you have the sea of everything, all of these different tasks that are outlined in front of you, and you need to pick the few that are specific to the strategy that you've selected, okay? And that's where there are 2 different dimensions of things to consider. We have big old tasks, right? We've got long lists of things that we could do. There are 2 ways to be able to know which ones rise to the top, the ones that are going to be the highest leverage, the most effective, the most impactful, right? And the way that we determine that is by living in these 2 different criterias of task. You need to keep them organized, meaning what project do they correspond with? Like what is the relativity in terms of the timeline of how things go, right? There's a way that you can reference your tasks so that you can see them and then you know and can pick among them. And then the second part is you need to prioritize your tasks. You need to have different deadlines, different time sensitivities, what's urgent, what's not. And it's the combination of those 2 things, the organization and the prioritization, that helps you to then pick, these are the things that I'm going to do. It's not just doing as much as you can. Productivity is about being effective and picking the right things. So once you have these two different pieces in place, the hierarchy of how you're going to organize and prioritize tasks, the real important step is you need to maintain those systems. This is the part that most people miss. You can set up a Notion once, or you can set up a to-do list once, you can set up your schedule once, or you can figure out what your deadlines are once. But if you don't do anything to maintain those, to update the status on those things, to add new things that take precedent, or to deprioritize something that's no longer serving you, that's how your task list and your task management continues to be relevant. It continues to be the most important thing for you, so that you're executing the right things, right? That's what this is all about, knowing what to do. And you know what to do by having the right committed strategy, going to the top of the mountain in the best way that you know possible. And then you take those action steps specifically referenced by, are they organized, prioritized, and maintained? All right. Now we're going to move on to the second piece here, which is actually doing it. This is the part that people struggle with the most. I call myself a follow-through coach because taking action is pretty hard. Like, there are so many headwinds and things that are getting in the way that keep us from doing the things we know we should be doing. Why is that? Well, I've dedicated my life to it. I'm writing a book about it, and I'll tell you about that another time. All right. But let's talk about doing it, right? The first piece to doing it is having proper time management. You cannot take an action that you don't have time allocated to doing, or in the case of this AI community, that you haven't taken time to set up a system for it to do it for you. But in any case, you need to allocate time in order for something to be created. All right. And that's where we're going to talk about time management. The first important piece for your time management is daily task scheduling. This blew my mind when I learned it for the first time. Okay. Nir Eyal, he's an author, he's a friend. He said this in his book, Indistractable. It completely changed my life the first time I heard it, because most of the time when we're not taking action, we're probably doing something else and we're getting distracted. He wrote the book on how to fix distraction. And this is what he said. He said, you cannot know what a distraction is unless you know what you are being distracted from. The root words in distraction, dis means away from, and traction means alignment, right? So a distraction is anything that takes you off alignment. But how do you know what alignment is? You can't know what a distraction is unless you know what you're being distracted from. Your alignment is determined by what you have intended to do based on your schedule. So by definition, you can only have a distraction when you know there's something else you were supposed to be doing. You determine what those things are in a daily schedule. People ask me, if you could incorporate one habit, Brian, you're the habits guy, you're the follow-through guy. If there's one thing that you could tell me that's going to change my life, what's that thing? It is creating a schedule for the day consistently. Because instead of having everything all at once, all over the place, you get to think in advance. These are the things that are most important, and this is how long it's going to take me to do. And that is my plan of attack. It helps you to quantify what you're capable of. You don't feel guilty you didn't get enough done, because you're looking at the limited amount of time that you have and you're deciding how to allocate it intentionally. All right. So time management comes down to scheduling on a daily basis. Okay. But here's another nuance to it. It's a little more advanced, but I'm going to go there with you. Okay. Beyond having your daily time blocks allocated for a schedule, you also need to put time in advance for strategic planning. So all the things that we talked about, knowing what to do, right? The strategic alignment and the task management, you need to revisit. Is that still the right path to take? Is that still the direction I want to go? Is this still what I want? And we can get caught up in the day-to-day of revisiting. Oh, no, it's going to be this strategy. No, it's this one. No, it's this one. No, it's this one. And when you have dedicated time set aside for, oh, I'm going to run this experiment until then, and I'm going to revisit it in a quarterly review ritual, or I'm going to try this workout plan until then, 2 weeks from now. And you get to decide, oh, am I feeling like this is the right fit for me? Then you're not confusing yourself or diluting yourself or distracting yourself from execution. You have intervals in place to help you to reorient around what is becoming most important for you as life evolves around you, right? So time management takes these two different timelines It is your daily scheduling that helps you to know exactly, hey, this is how I'm executing today. And it helps you to then optimize what you're doing overall through the strategic planning. Okay. So that is the third fundamental. The first one related to doing it, actually doing it. The next one is my favorite. If I had to say, if I had to describe what my book is about in 2 words, it would be this: environmental design. This is the most powerful thing you can do to help you to actually follow through. You've probably heard the whole aphorism around it's not willpower, it's environment, right? Everyone says it. Few talk about how to actually do it. That's the gap that I hope to fill. Okay. So let's talk about environmental design in particular. Let me share a little metaphor that seems to be really helpful in understanding this. All right. So let's say that you are in a canoe on a river. All right. And what happens when you're in a canoe on a river is if you just kick your feet up and you're sitting there, there's only one direction that you go, and that's downstream, wherever the river's current is taking you. And that's great if that's where you want to go, if that corresponds with the actions you're taking, the life that you see for yourself, what you want. If not, then the environment and your river is taking you the wrong place. And we can overcome the current of the rivers. And that's the beautiful part, is it's within our power to pick up the paddle and start rowing. If we don't want to go downstream, we can row to the side bank. We can row upstream to a different corner and inlet. We can row anywhere we want. We can row and row and row and row and paddle and paddle and paddle and paddle and paddle. And we can get wherever we want to go. But it requires a lot of effort. It's tiring. And the problem is, when we stop rowing, when we get where we want and it's time for us to rest, we kick our feet back up, we sit in the canoe, and where does the river's current take us? Right back downstream, the same direction it's been pulling you the whole time. So then you pick up your paddle and you row and you row and you row and you row again. And that is the cycle of fits and starts, right? It is this unsustainable, effortful approach to trying to get where you want. And what I want, when I'm dying on the hill of people to realize about their growth, is you can change the banks of the river. You can redirect the current so that it takes you where you want. And when you kick your feet up, you're actually going in the right direction. And that's not to say it's going to perfectly drop you off right exactly where you want to go. But if it gets you even a little bit closer, then you have to paddle that much less. And it makes it that much easier to consistently do all the things you need to do and to get what you want, right? And that's why our effort, the best allocation of our will, is to design our environment, to shape the river in our favor, to build a dam here so that the river redirects that way, to punch out a hole in the bank, to cut out a new slit and a little stream that's coming out the side. We can control the way that the water directs us when we know how to do that, right? And that is what doing it and following through is all about. It's environmental design. Okay. Now that we've got those two things in place, knowing what to do and doing it, you're taking action, right? You're taking aligned action in the direction of what you want, and you're actually walking the steps up the mountain, getting closer to it. The question that everyone has and the thing that everyone wants is, well, how do I do that faster? How do I make more progress? How do I achieve more success? And that's where the last part of this comes in, doing it really well, right? It's not just enough to take action, but how do you take high leverage, effective, efficient, goals aligned action? Well, there's 2 different approaches to that. All right. The first is a bit of a misnomer: energy management. This is misunderstood, especially by busy professionals and entrepreneurs like us. Okay. And the ironic part is I'm going to introduce the idea of energy management by talking about pizza, because that's the healthy thing to do, right? Is eat pizza. But stick with me, okay? So let's say that your life is a pizza, okay? And the slices of your pizza are divided into different parts of your life. You have 3 slices that you eat for your work. You got 2 slices that go for your health, and you got 3 slices that go for your loved ones, right? And the idea is, if you were to take better care of yourself, to allocate more pizza for your health, well, that means that you have less pizza for your work and less pizza for your loved ones. And this is true. If you look at the 24 hours in a day, any time that you spend on your health is time that you cannot spend working or cannot spend with your loved ones. That is true when you look at this as a linear equation. And that trade-off may not be worth it for you. You might look at your work and the crazy to-do list you have, and you're like, I cannot afford to work any less. I am already drowning in behind. And then similarly, you look at your loved ones. Yeah, Stacy's raising her hand. You look at your loved ones, you're like, but you're telling me that you want me to spend less time with my loved ones. Like, that's what this is all for. Like, absolutely not. I'm unwilling to compromise that. Well, what does that mean? That the portion of your health in the pizza continues to get decreased and pushed out and pushed away until it becomes nothing measurable or meaningful, right? When you think about this as a fixed 24-hour linear equation, but this is how energy and taking care of yourself actually works. It is not a linear equation. It is an exponential equation. When you take better care of yourself, sure, you add an extra slice of pizza to your health. It takes away a half of slice from your work and a half of slice from your loved ones. You have less time for those things. But the pizza actually gets bigger because you're operating with more quality. The hours you're spending during work are more energized, focused, concentrated. You're more bold. You're more decisive. You're doing the right things. You're less distracted. You make more progress in less time because you've taken care of your internal state. Same thing with your loved ones. It might be less time with them, but it's more quality time. They'll remember that you were more present, more connected, that you cared more, that you were warmer with them. They'll enjoy the time that you spent with them more when you're taking care of yourself. Why? Because you show up differently with more quality when you take care of yourself, right? And that is why self-care is not a trade-off. It's an investment in bringing out your fuller capacity. Because all they care about, your work and your loved ones, they just care about having enough to eat. They don't care about what percentage of the pizza they get. They're just hungry. They just want you. So how can you expand the pizza so that they get more of you, right? That is what energy management can do for you. It gives you that much more life and quality in what you're actually doing, okay? So do not neglect to take care of yourself because you are imposing a ceiling on yourself, and that's how you do things better with more quality, okay? The last one here is related to skill development, okay? And there's two different ways to think about building skills, right? Because you can do things and you get really good at them and then you do them way better, right? That's just obvious. There's a reason why people get paid, $500 to do a keynote and $20,000 to do a keynote. It's just a different level of quality, different level of skill, different level of brand reputation, everything, right? So how can we use that lever to be able to create something disproportionately valuable with the things that we're doing? All right. There's a few different important pieces to mention. So here, Pat Flynn, I actually spent the weekend with him, which was really fun. He's a mentor of mine. And he wrote this book called Lean Learning. And in this book, he talked about two different types of information. One is just in case information, meaning, oh, that's great to consume and learn because maybe one day I'm going to be managing a team, or maybe one day I'm going to be running Facebook ads, or maybe one day I'm going to be trying to optimize my whatever, right? Like, we have so much information that we're consuming just in case we need it, compared to just in time information. It is the solution to the problem that you are experiencing right now. It is consuming intentionally so that you're not wasting your time learning too much. You are applying what you're learning directly to the constraint that you are feeling in your life right now. And how different is it when we improve our knowledge and information directly like that versus just broadly because it feels good, right? It's entertainment. It makes us feel like we're growing, but it's not actually valuable. It lacks quality. It lacks depth. It lacks applicability, right? So be intentional with your consumption. That will help you to create more leverage in the way that you can show up and apply better work to what you're doing, okay? All you're doing when you're consuming content is you're getting into the mind of other people, which takes us to this next point, which is asking for help. Someone who's been there, done that, they can give you that just-in-time information when you ask them the right questions, when you ask for their support in the right ways. So don't just limit this to what you're listening to and reading, but also apply this for the types of questions that you're asking others, the types of people you're hanging out with, because they will help you to bridge that skill gap, and they will help you to be able to accelerate your progress. And then, of course, the classic version of improvement is getting your hands dirty and just doing it, right? Imperfect action. And there's this cycle of you run an experiment, you get feedback, you run it over enough times, each repetition, you learn something new, you improve your approach, you get better. And there's nothing that will replace real hands-on feedback, because the information that you're learning from other people or from other books, it might be relevant and it might be helpful, but it is not your situation perfectly. It was written or understood in a different context. You can take that to get started, but ultimately you need to apply that, see what it does for you uniquely, and then move past that and understand how it is meant to work for you. So yes, learn from others, but also learn from yourself and make sure that you have the systems in place to capture that feedback, to measure how things are working, to have those committed strategies, and to be able to get everything to start flowing and working better. All right. So those are the 6 fundamentals to productivity for high performing creators. You need to know what to do. You need to actually do it. When you do it really well, that helps you to make progress faster, create the reality that you want to see for yourself, because the actions you're putting in are outputting the results that you're looking for. And it's as simple as that, right? No, of course not. Yeah, Sammy, go ahead.
I love it. Were you guys liking this? I always love the simplicity of how you break that down for us. Question for you.
Sure.
The ingesting of knowledge, and you might be getting to this, right? I definitely fall into the trap of just thinking I should absorb as much knowledge as possible, because at some point I feel like I'll use it. You said that and I like had a visceral response. I was like, oh, that's me. Uh Thoughts and ideas on how you actually go about um taking in the right knowledge at the right time when you don't have somebody to rely on. I know we have a lot of AI things. I'm sure you probably have a couple things around that, but that was just one of the thoughts I had. But if you guys
Yeah.
have any other thoughts on that too, I'd love to hear what you guys think. But just how do you take the right content and really apply it? And this, because we're all in a time crunch, right? So Doris is now in a full-time entrepreneurship mode. We're all in this total line. We're like, okay, time is our most important commodity. So love to hear your thoughts on taking exactly the knowledge you need and then applying it, and how you find that.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's more of an art than a science. I think the way that I approach it is through recommendations. So if I am asking someone saying, "Hey, this is what I'm struggling with, my problem, whatever," like, "Oh, this happened this past weekend. Oh, you need to start listening to this podcast or reading this book because it corresponds with the startup that I'm at, in the phase of the startup that I'm in right now." And like, so all of that wider material that you're surrounded by is going to be more relevant sooner, because it's more directed in terms of recommendations and conversations that are coming from that. So yeah,
I have a question.
yeah, Doris, let me hear it.
So it's easy to get into like, I got to learn, and take things in, and then you're not doing. So
Yeah.
how do you balance the, not getting trapped into every new thing could be a good thing, but it's not for you. Referrals are good, but how do you balance that? Like, do you set a set amount of time per week, per day to the learning component? Because that could become a distraction in itself, especially learning AI, because it changes all the time.
Totally. Yeah, no, I don't have like a distribution of time. I mean, you should always be implementing. Like one of the things that's kind of embedded in one of the frameworks I'm talking about is the think, plan, do, review cycle, which is you think about what's working, you plan how you're going to do it, and then you review how it went. And that's not evenly weighted, because you want to spend 90%, 95% of that time actually doing, and then you quickly do the rest of the steps and you get back into doing. So it's kind of a similar process where it's, I would imagine that the consumption has its own slices. One of the things that I would consider, and this is a great format for it, is, oh, I've joined this community or I follow this person because there is a specific type of information that is coming through being a part of it. So being able to prioritize those different pieces is really valuable. But yeah, I wouldn't say that there is an ultimate piece. And this is, everyone has their own story arc and journey through it. What I've noticed for me that has been most helpful is I'm actually consuming way, way less, because I've just been inundated for years and years, like I have a podcast where I've been accountable to sharing an idea every day for 8 years. So I've got to like think about what those ideas are. But I've been working out in silence. I've been driving in silence. I've been eating in silence. I've been inviting silence. And I hear so much more when I'm in silence that is like, oh, that's how this works. We already have the information. I feel like this is my kind of like light recommendation, which is we already know what we need to know in many ways, right? We already know it. It's just a matter of doing something about it. And when we invite more quiet and stillness into our life, that voice gets to come through of like, oh, well, these are the things that we already know, and this is how it applies for this thing, instead of just being so disturbed by more noise, right? So but that's the season that I'm in right now. And it's been like really awesome. It's great for my nervous system. Yeah, God's whisper, exactly. Yeah. Cool. There's gonna be more time for questions. What I do want to get into is more of a workshop because I think it's gonna be more relevant. You're gonna have more specific questions once we get on the back end of this. So these are the 6 fundamentals. We're gonna focus on implementing one of these, which is that committed strategy, right? So finding the top of the mountain, figuring out what the best path is given where I'm at. And it even actually gets down into the tactics of it. So this is like 1.5 of the fundamentals. What I've put together is a custom GPT. I'm like building this brand, which is really funny, which is Crystal, your personal clarity assistant. Isn't that cute? Um, and I've created a custom GPT where you can take basically the frameworks that I've been sharing and go through a series of questions that guides you through figuring out what it is that you want, what is the most likely path to be able to achieve it, and what do you got to do on a daily basis to make progress on it. That will take you 5 to 10 minutes to go through. And then on the back end of that, once you know what to do, now we can talk about how the other fundamentals apply for that thing. What do you need to learn to do it better? How can you design your environment to do it more effectively and consistently? And that ends up being kind of part of like a really applicable and direct workshop for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the chat here the link to the GPT. I imagine all of you guys got Chat GPT, given that you're in this community. If not, then I have a PDF somewhere I could pull up, but I imagine that we don't even have to worry about that. So what we'll do right now, let's take 8 minutes. All right. Let's take 8 minutes to run through the GPT. And at the end, it should give you something pretty sweet that we'll be able to chat about. All right. So let's do that. DJ Sammy, I don't know if you want to put some jams on or something, but we can, let's take some time to get this done, because then you leave this workshop with something real.
Yeah, let me see if I can get some in there for you guys. Yes.
And you can take over the screen if you need to.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, something.
Brian, if I can stop your share.
Yeah. All right, 3 more minutes if you guys are still jamming through this. All right, about a minute left. You're doing great. All right, final thoughts. Are you guys just about there? Or are you still working on it?
How does it know when you're done? Is it you're clear? Is it the problem, cause, focus, strategy, and consistent behavior? Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Sweet. Cool. Yeah. Next step is to get a couple shares and we'll be able to workshop a couple of things. Curious to get feedback on that process. Now that you've been through it, did it illuminate anything that you knew that you already needed to do? You just weren't doing it? Is it a new insight, a new approach, a new strategy? It's usually the first. Like I said, we normally know what to do. Susan, I saw you smirk. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Sammy knows this too. It really, my main problem is my time management, and it just kept narrowing it down to, okay, what one step do you need to do every single day, which is something that I'm borrowing from Allie, which is, what do you call it, Allie? The first hour is your, I think it's she's on the phone. I think it's like the first hour should be your money hour. So spend the first 60 minutes doing what I need to do before I do anything else. But the problem is that I get to my computer and I've got so many things screaming at me, I get totally distracted. So
there we go. So funny enough, when Sammy and I started working together, that's exactly what we got him focused on, was business development before any AI research. That was like that was the conditional that we set up for him, to get consistent with doing the money making work. Yeah. And so let's dig into this, right? So you talk about environmental design. So
Yeah.
you're like, oh, well, I want to, but then everything's screaming at me, distractions, etc. So is there a way for you to silence notifications until a certain time of day? Is there a way for you to access what you need to do this money-making material and set it aside the night before so that you don't load any other screens? You're like, these are all things and plans to be able to eliminate the constraint, right? And that's what environmental design is about, is, hey, what's getting in the way of this happening? Or how can we create the right conditions for this to happen more successfully, right? So what of those things, if you're getting into the constraint, if you're really dialing in, what is the nature of the distractions? When you open up your laptop, you're like, hey, it's money hour. And you're like, oh, shoot. But is it voicemails? Is it Slacks? Is it social media notifications? Is it a kid that like has something that they want from you? What gets in the way?
For me, it's my 91-year-old mom, or it's open up the computer and I've got social media notifications, I've got emails that need attention, those type of things. So I love the idea of setting up the screens first the night before, so that when I open up my computer, that's all that's there.
Yep.
But I think too, I need to plan specifically what I'm going to do during that hour the night before.
Yep.
And then just get up and do it.
Yep. So that's part of environmental design. So yeah, exactly. Like these are all the different levers that you can pull to make it so much more likely that this happens. Clarity is one of those pieces. Instead of like, hey, I'm going to do 10 touch points. What if you list out the 10 people that are hottest in your pipeline? These are the 10 people I'm going to reach out to. And then you can objectively measure yourself against, did I or did I not reach out to those 10 people, right?
Yep. Yep.
Now you're held accountable to a much more direct action instead of this vague money-making action, right? So that's how you continue building systems that create the clarity and the accountability and the environmental support that's needed to be able to succeed. That's literally this system I have every day for myself. Is I'm like, who is the one hottest lead that I'm going to be reaching out to today? And who are the 5 people in my network that I'm going to be touching base with as just a proactive relationship maintenance step? And I list out those names. I don't leave it to chance, because I want to be like, oh, that one's scary. Okay, that's the one I need to do. Okay. And then you look at it and you're so much more likely to do it, instead of rationalize into, oh no, but now's not the right time because of XYZ. It's I'll do someone else. And then these opportunities slip, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Separating the decision from the execution is one of the ways that you can leverage your willpower too.
Okay.
Yep.
I like that.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Any other examples? What else came up, team? And you don't need to be in the hot seat quite like that, but if you want to, we can go and we can go and fix it and give yourself a chance to succeed.
I loved it, Brian. I actually just wrote out a new offer that my husband and I are launching together to know the launch strategy. Hi, baby. I have 4 kids. They're all home for summer. Okay. So what it kept like pushing back at me, like, well, what's the problem here? I'm like, there's no problem. I just want the launch schedule and what this looks like. So it's kind of cool how it flipped. Like, there is no problem here. You know what you're doing. And then here's how to execute it. I think that's what I need more. I am a go-getter. I love the Bible. The Bible says, be a doer of the word, not a hearer, so that you do not deceive yourself. And what we know, even the elect will be deceived in the last days. I take that to heart. So I'm like, I'm not going to be deceived. I'm going to take massive action. If the Lord gives it to me, confirms it by 2 to 3 witnesses, it is done. But for me, it was more that path forward with least resistance to see how that's going to play out. My question for you is that how you usually get in here with Crystal during like the path, the launch, stuff like that? Or am I using, was there a better way to execute that?
Yeah. So this may answer your question or not. I might need to ask for more clarity, but the way that I use Crystal specifically is I have 2 different forms of it. So one is what you just went through at the beginning of every month. I'm like, okay, this is the month. It's called the monthly commitment assistant. I think was the one that you went through. This is like, okay, given where I'm at and what I want, this is the thing I'm committed to executing and building a system around so that this becomes part of my daily practice, right? And it's just a high leverage activity there. You do that once. That's part of the strategic planning. I've got my monthly intervals where, hey, I use this once a month to figure out what alignment is. And then I go and do that. And at the end of the month, I look back, how did I do? What got in the way? Does this need to change? And, it always needs to optimize, right? Versus more of the day-to-day decision making, I have a different offer. And Sammy helped me get this set up on Manus because I never used Manus before. It's called, hold on, I'm gonna just put this, the crystal clear. Basically, I'm just like really proud of the landing page because Manus built it in like an hour, which is crazy. Hold on, let me make it linkable too. Yes. And basically, so what I've done is I've created a custom GPT based on the trainings that like in the philosophies and the process that I've had this whole like onboarding process. And now that is my sparring partner, where it's trained on my values, on my goals, on my life circumstance, on my weaknesses and vulnerabilities and all these different pieces. So that when you're like, hey, I'm thinking about changing my offer to this, what do you think, Crystal? And it's like, oh, well, you mentioned that your weakness is inconsistency and that you change course too quickly. So might that be surfacing here, right? Whatever it might be. So those are the two different ways that I'm using these tools to be able to augment my awareness, because ultimately I'm the one calling the shots and making the decisions for what I'm doing.
Very cool. I too work with Sammy and AI, so I'm very proud of your webpage.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. It's solid. And that link that I just put in, that's like you'd be the first ones to go through that process, and it's free if you want to do it. Like I probably should be charging for it, but no one's done it yet. And I've got my SOPs, and hopefully Claude can do it for me at some point, but this is pretty straightforward. So if you open that landing page and you're interested, run through, run through the process, and then you'll have all the instructions you need to get your Crystal, your personal clarity assistant made. And also, and I'll just say this now, and I'll take any last questions. But the next step with all of this, if you want my help in understanding what your commitment is that surfaced, or if you just want to have another conversation around, okay, cool, I really need to get into this high productive execution mode. The stakes are high. My business needs to grow. I need to get more focused and really intentional about what I'm doing. I'm offering a free support call here. That, it's usually oriented around your monthly action plan. I'll know your names if you choose to sign up. And it's not just about this month. It's just more about kind of like focusing on the next 30 days. Go ahead and book a slot, and then we can have that more personal conversation and cater it to what you guys are excited about. So I would love to support you with that.
Oh, you're Brian. That's so great. I will tell you, that's one of the things we put in place, like after the marriage retreat, Ali, is one of the things I told Brian. I was like, I need to get in a space where I am like creating space for my faith. Like I was creating the atmosphere to welcome in God. And it was so simple. He's like, well, cool. What does that look like? And we put those little things in place. And each day I just take 30 seconds, sometimes a couple minutes. I fill out this quick form for Brian, and it has put so much in place, and it's really tailored to taking intentional time for my wife and like what I'm doing to put her first. And I was like, oh wow, so cool. Suffice it to say is like, book the call, guys. And Brian, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Yes, there it is. Of course, man. But yeah, any other questions? I just want to open the floor up to you guys. This is so good. I'm a pickleball partner with Brian, so I get to see him. We're gonna bring him up to your church, Allie. I wish you guys were closer. But yeah, anyone else have questions or comments? Love to hear a takeaway too.
Well, I just thought this was great, and I ran two through because I couldn't decide on which one. So
Crystal doesn't
yeah,
like that.
it was. What's that?
Crystal doesn't like that. She makes you get like
No,
really specific.
I did two separate chats. Yeah, yeah, she didn't like that. So I did two chats. One because there were two different things that I felt like I'm dealing with. But yeah, a lot of great clarity, Brian. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for leaning in.
So good.
Cool. All right. Well, Doris, go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, true that there's no surprise on what you need to do. Like we know what we need to do. I think the aha I took away from it is I just left corporate and had an aversion to like many, many meetings per day. I mean, I was averaging 12 to 14 meetings a day. So now I don't average that, which is nice and refreshing because I'm like, oh, I have all these blocks of time to work on other things. But what's happened is I've gotten out of the discipline of organizing what I should work on first. And so it's just a free block and then I get in and then it's easier to get distracted. So going back to really scheduling that time on the calendar and not defaulting to, oh, I have 10 meetings. No, it's those are 5 activities that are going to get me to the outcome. So that was kind of a takeaway for me.
Amazing. Yeah, I've got a process. If you end up booking a call, I'd share it with you. I've got a process called intentional time design where you take the landscape that is your week and you're like, oh, I need to do these types of things here. I take my calls around there, and it just like really gets you to visualize, oh, this is how I spend my time. And it runs my life because I want to make sure my life is full of the right things. So yeah, that's something I'd be happy to share with you too.
So great. Well, this has been awesome, Brian. Thank you so much. Thanks for you guys being patient with somebody that clearly needs to get clarity around some of the calendar stuff. And you guys are amazing for sticking in there. And Brian got my link open. Can't wait to connect with you guys again. We'll see you guys inside the chat. This is one of our expert panels for those of you guys that will see the replay. Brian Ford is one of my favorite follow-through coaches that I've ever worked with. And so definitely get in there. Susan, make sure you got that call in there. Stacy Joe, same. You guys get that clarity call. And then same with you, Doris. Nothing like running the straight line coming out of where you're at, right? So get from A to B as fast as possible. So Brian, thank you so much, brother. It's so good to see you. You're such a master at your craft, and it's just an honor to have you here today. And we'll see you guys again soon. And thanks for being here. And we'll talk to you guys very, very soon. And yeah, you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you. Thanks, Sammy.
Look, I got a roof and a bed, a couple groceries, fed. I've got a phone and clean water and some shoes when I wanna go.
Why would I want to leave when you got such good tunes?
Today I've got so much to be thankful for. I woke up this morning thinking, thank you, Lord, for giving me everything I could ever need and more. I've got so much to be thankful for.
Pickleball later?
I'm playing Thursday.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll be there Thursday.
I think so. Are you going to Cottonwood?
Yeah, we like Cottonwood. We
Yeah,
also
cool.
found a little spot down by right off of the 101. It's like right by Moonlight. The courts are a little janky, but there's like never anyone there.
Okay.
So it's pretty sweet.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep me in the loop. I'd love to play.
Awesome, brother. Cool. Well,
Hey,
did you leave town and you're back now?
Yeah, I'm back now.
Okay, cool. I'll ring you. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
perfect.
Just gotta get you and the lady over. Okay.
Sweet.
See you,
Cool.
bud.
Yep. See you soon.